I just like slept all day, and you guys get beautiful bedhead. So the whole thing, Emma left on the last episode, and this one we kind of get to see the repercussions of that. And in the beginning, I think Leo and a few of the other people are talking about how messed up it is, and how weird it feels without Emma, and how sad it is she didn't say goodbye when she left and all that. And the thing that I kept thinking of is, in the hospital, you really can't get attached to anyone. Like, patients especially, because they could either go home or die, and then nurses, hate to be blunt there, and then you can't get attached to the doctor, you can't get attached to the nurses. It's really weird. It's like, yeah, it is your home, but then you also have to be really aware of the fact that everything is temporary. So, you know, but apparently they just say, no, screw that law, we're just gonna get really, really emotionally attached to everybody. Wow, Emma's family situation, I felt for her. I have a 10-year-old sister named Ellie who I love dearly. Sometimes I think she's like one of my best friends, which is really weird. Like, not necessarily in the same way that I'm best friends with people at school, but she's like, she gets me kind of on a weird level. It's like with parents, they have something invested in the way that you turn out because you are their children and they, you know, have raised you and all that. With sisters or siblings just in general, they have no real, like, I mean, unless they're like your way older sibling, but they don't really care how you turn out. They're just kind of there for you, and you fight about the same stuff sometimes, but then you kind of also make up about the same stuff, and you're like, kind of get each other. You're kind of on the same level. So I really felt for Emma's sister. I feel like I know exactly how that is for Ellie, having a sister who's really sick and who's almost died a lot, and it's something that doesn't get talked about very often. So I think that's sweet that was in there, and then Emma acknowledged how hard it must be for her sister too. But wow, let me just say, I just don't think that Emma's family is dealing with this the right way. And I know I'm not the only one that thinks that here. I mean, Emma's mom is just, she's kind of a bitch, but then at the same time I do understand where she's coming from with it. She doesn't want Emma to get into that poor me, there's no hope thing, but there's a better way to go about that, just in my personal opinion. Okay, so I feel like I'm the only one here that ships Leo and Kira, but I do, and I got rewarded in this episode because they got it on in a car. I mean, terrible timing. They were just talking about, like, how much they loved other people, and then they're like, oh, well, what do you want to do? And they're like, oh, let's have sex. Oh, yeah, that's totally logical. I don't think that it's going to last. I think that what's probably going to happen next few episodes, they're going to be like, Emma's going to come back and Leo's going to feel terrible, and then Hunter's not going to wake up from the surgery, and Kira's going to feel terrible, and they're going to eat themselves alive with the guilt because they just got it on in the back seat of their car while their loved ones were either passed out or under anesthesia. God, it's a hard life to be sick. I still love Gray Nurse, the gray t-shirt wearing nurse, and all of his commentary. I dig him. He reminds me actually of a few of the nurses that I've had over the years, so it's sweet. Nurse Brittany needs to get her shit together. I mean, I like that she kind of, you know, was a little feisty in the last episode, but really pulled together. He wanted a one-night stand, This is a medical world. I mean, I do kind of agree with Hottie Doctor there. It's like, this is a world where you gotta put your own stuff aside and really deal on your health. It's kind of like that for both the nurses and doctors and the patients, you know? I mean, I know the whole show is centered around the patient drama, and that's great, but there is that part of it where you have to kind of forget about all of that and just focus on how you're gonna get better. And I think that that is why Emma cannot get better, because it's all meshed together, you know what I mean? Her personal life, her mental life, and her health. Yeah, so Jordy is trying to become a drug dealer so that he can get emancipated because he wants say in what happens to him and his health. It was a weird thing with Jordy where I feel like he's just always indecisive until he has to be decisive, and then he kind of makes the wrong decision. Just personally, I mean, but I like Jordy. I have nothing against him. I do relate to the problem of being young and being sick. It's hard. People don't take you seriously. I mean, that's what I think is sweet in this show is Dr. McAndrew is constantly talking to the patients. The nurses, too, they're telling them what's going on there, you know what I mean? They're interacting with the patients. In general, in the hospitals, that does not happen. You have to work your butt off to get respected in a hospital when you're under 18. People don't tell you directly what's going on with your test results. They don't tell you directly what's going on surgery-wise. And a lot of the times, if you tell them, like, no, hey, I think this treatment would be really good for me. I've been doing this my entire life. Especially as a CFer, I have to deal with this a lot. Is I know my treatment schedule really well. I know my antibiotic schedule really well. And sometimes I'll be like, hey, I think this medication is much better for this time. And they just won't listen. They won't even talk to me about it or tell me why they had that discussion unless I can kind of prove that I know what I'm talking about. So I've gotten really good about that. And I haven't had to get emancipated. You kind of have to know how to play the game when you're a sick kid. You have to know how to work the hospital without having to be an adult. That being said, when it's an insurance thing, you know what? Cool, go be emancipated. I fear for him. I fear for his life and his future as an emancipated minor. I just don't know if he can handle it. I mean, the dude doesn't even know how to, like, make money, really, without being a drug dealer. It's just gonna be a rough road. So yeah, that's it. Enjoy your life, enjoy your day, be a good human being, be strong, don't run away from your own crap in your head, and make people proud. Break.